Well, I want to say welcome again, and I want to give a quick overview of what you can expect tonight. I'd like to introduce Mr. Brian Leahy. Brian is the chairperson of our school advisory board. Brian,
Hi.
Brian's going to speak tonight about the school advisory board, its role within our school, and a little bit more about our school budget. I'd also like to introduce Mrs. Kristen Cashmore. Mrs. Cashmore is the secretary of our Family School Association. She's going to give us more information about the Family School Association and how it's so important to have that strong partnership between home and school. And I'm going to give you information about curriculum and instruction. And although tonight is not set up to be a town hall format, a question and answer, I always encourage any parents, if you have any specific questions or concerns, to email me, to call, to stop in the office if you're here for lunch duty. That's my job, to hear what the parents have to say and respond to it. That being said, I'm going to jump right in. We start with our mission. We're mission driven here at St. Gilbert School, and I want to read the mission statement to you. St. Gilbert School is called by God and the faith community of St. Gilbert Catholic Parish to offer a quality education. We believe and teach the good news of Jesus Christ and live his mission through service opportunities and academic excellence with a faith perspective. We foster and enhance the unique gifts of individuals, spiritually and academically, encouraging them to be actively involved in the world in socially responsible ways. What does it mean for us to be mission-driven? It means that every time we make a decision, we need to make it within the framework of what our mission statement says, who we are and what we believe in and what we hope to achieve. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that mission statement and center ourselves again and say, why are we here? Why are we serving the children of this community? And what's our purpose? What's the greater good? One of my favorite cartoons, but just how education has changed today. If you spend time in classrooms, you probably noticed that they've radically changed from when we were children, or even when you have a child, if you have an 8th grader now, of how it was when they came in kindergarten. The world is rapidly changing, and as a school, we need to adjust to that. Education should never remain static. It's constantly evolving. And that's one of the difficult jobs as an educator. You need to realize that you can't be okay with the status quo, because the world's not okay with the status quo. We need to keep moving forward. There's a lot of research in the media today about what makes an effective school. And when you read the research, two things keep popping up. You need strong leadership and you need quality educators. And I'm happy to say that we have a lot of quality teachers here at St. Gilbert School. We're very blessed to have all of that. Our teachers have an average of 14 years experience, and 42% of them have advanced degrees. I encourage and provide them professional development, for different opportunities to expand their repertoire in teaching so they can continue to better serve the needs of all of our students. Our curriculum is provided by the Archdiocese of Chicago, and the Archdiocese wrote the curriculum to meet the Illinois state standards, which were adopted in 1997. In 2010, last summer, the state of Illinois adopted the core standards. So 48 states went together and adopted the core standards. Right now it's just math and English and language arts. So the Archdiocese went back to our curriculum and tweaked what they needed to in order for us to continue to meet what the state expects the public schools to do. And one of the ways that we gauge the effectiveness is our program, is we survey our parents periodically. So some information from the survey that we had this year. We had 140 responses. We have 410 families. So if we're saying that each response, it was an anonymous survey, so we can't tell if a husband and wife responded to the survey. But if we say that each family, 140 families responded, that gives us that 40%. And a typical survey response rate for customers and members, which I think is the closest correlation we can make to school families, is between 5 and 40%. So we're well within that response rate. You see the breakdown of our responses starting pre-K and K up to 7 and 8. You'll see the bulk of the responses were between 1 and 6th grade, and that's where our school population falls. We have the most kids in those areas. I'm happy to report that we had a lot of parents, such as yourself, that are very satisfied with the things that we're doing. And I broke down the survey to see where are our high points, what are the things that we're doing very well. The religion program received high marks. Parents feel that we're enhancing the values at home and we're giving the students a better understanding of their faith. That the children feel safe here at school, and I think that's one of the major underpinnings of to be successful in your academic career. You need to feel safe where you are. There was a large percentage of overall satisfaction of our academic program, and then the display of the children's work in the hallway. Anytime you walk down the hallway, you can see that we value what our kids are doing, and we put it out there, both in the hallway for everyone else to see, and then within the classroom itself, so the kids, it doesn't become part of the background, it becomes part of their daily life. So here's some of the breakdowns. The safe environment, the understanding of our Catholic faith, meeting or exceeding your expectations as parents for what a Catholic education should provide, and how satisfied you are overall with our academic program. I'll be honest, I want this column on this side, and that's what we're moving towards. %41% of the responses feel that we meet or exceed the academic education of our local public schools, and we have good schools in this area. So that's an important thing. It's great to be surrounded by good schools because it pushes you as a Catholic school to continue to develop your program so you can compete with those public schools. Another way that we gauge the effectiveness of our program is through standardized testing. And here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, we all take the Terra Nova test in March, so we just took them for this year. These are last year's results, which if you're new parents, you haven't received them, but if you've been here, you've received those last year. Some of the survey questions ask, why don't we take the ISATS, the Illinois Standard Achievement Test? That was developed by the Board of Education for public schools. Private schools are not allowed to take that test. So the Archdiocese chose the Terra Nova test for us to take. It's not a Catholic school test. It's a standardized test that the Department of Defense, all of their schools use that test. The state of California uses it to subsidize their state test, and the state of New Jersey uses that also. And the results from the Terra Nova give us a snapshot, because it's one test taken over a week period in the different subjects. But it gives us a snapshot of where the children are, how they're progressing, any gaps that they might have that we need to go back and look at, and then an overall look as our school curriculum. Are there any gaps that we need to go back and adjust when we're teaching certain things or how we're teaching certain things? There were also some places that you as parents were not satisfied. None of those were surprises to us as a school, and I think that that's important that we are aware of anything we're going to have some shortcomings that we're working towards, and some of those things were math, technology, and the Spanish program that we have through grades 6 through 8. And I mentioned that education can never become static. So some of the changes that we've already put in place this school year, the Response to Intervention is a federal mandate when the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act was reauthorized in 2004. It called for a different way for schools to identify any student that needed special education. And that change radically altered the landscape of education. It went back to the classrooms where instead of waiting for students to start failing and falling further and further behind, as educators we need to realize they're not getting this. I need to change my instructional strategy and I need to reteach it to make sure that they can continue to go in the arc that we want them to go in. So one thing that we're doing as a school to help that, as parents are used to the STAR reading and math that they took at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, we've added that mid-year benchmark, which we took in January, to give us a chance to see, are the kids moving in that arc that we need them to move in? If they're not, we pull together as a team, and I'll explain the student intervention team, and look at those individual students. Do we need to change the instruction? Do I need to maybe do a quick pull out? There's a small pocket, a phonics issue that I need to work with that child. So we use that information to guide our instruction. It's not just another test that we give the students, send the report home to you, and then move on to the next subject. We've created a student intervention team this year, which is Mrs. Patty Davis, she's our special education teacher, and Mr. Fosnot, our assistant principal. And any teacher that's having a student that maybe on the benchmark isn't where we want them to be, we pull them in that team and we work together to brainstorm. What are other things that we can do? Another teacher could come and say, well, I've tried this with my students and it's making a difference. So we can make that adjustment and go forward. We're also talking about positive behavior intervention plan. We're lucky as a school that we don't have the major discipline problems that other schools do have, but part of our mission statement calls that we're working to create students that can be socially responsible in the world. So we do need to have discipline within the school. We also need to look at our plan and say, is it working? Is the way that we're preparing them in the younger grades allowing them to work well in the upper grades? Is the conduct check system that we're currently working, is that achieving the goal that we want it to achieve, which would be to lower the discipline problems? As a school, we need to take the time and look at that, look at the data. How many kids got conduct checks? What were they getting them in? What can we do to be proactive with those kids and figure out before they start to misbehave, what can I do? And kids are gonna misbehave. We all have kids. We know they're gonna do that, but it's important that we have things in place to deal with that and it doesn't become just a punitive response and then we move forward. We need to look at those instances as they happen as learning instances, teachable moments, and move them to the next level. So we're creating a discipline committee. Mr. Fosnot is heading that so we can look at our discipline plan. I'm happy to report that the Family School Association gave us the money this year to purchase 2 bullying programs. We purchased the one Second Step for the 6 through 8, and we're in the process of purchasing the companion program for pre-K through 5. The state of Illinois this year in February requires every school, public and private, to have a bullying education program as part of their curriculum. And we're in a unique position as a Catholic school because the gospel values that we teach daily, that's an anti-bullying program right there. But it's good to have something else, part of our curriculum, that we can continue to work through with the students so we can get to that point. I would love to be able to say that we don't have a bullying problem in the school, but we teach children, and that's an issue that we need to go through. I can tell you that it's not a large bullying problem, but there are things that happen that as a school we need to react to and go forward, and I think that this bullying program is really going to help us. What's great about this is it's not a one-step thing where someone from the outside comes in, does a day with our teachers, a day with our students, and then goes home. It's part of our curriculum. It'll be taught through the teachers, and that allows the program to become sustainable, and I think that that's essential. Those of you that have high school students are probably familiar with the online gradebook where you can log in, either yourself as a parent or the student, to see the teacher's gradebook, to see how you're going, and it's not you're waiting for the progress report or you're waiting for the report card. This year we've offered access for grades 7 and 8 to allow both the students and the parents to get that information.